Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can all hear me well, and if you can't, please pop a message onto the chat room. My name's Chris. I am one of the co-founders of the new Industry Insights Q&A sessions that we're going to start doing. I just wanted to welcome you all to our first one, which is very exciting. We're obviously got a big season coming up with lots of people to announce. But we want to do a nice little test the first one with Reece, who is our other founder of the series. So we will be announcing a full series over the next week or so, so keep an eye on our Facebook page for that. However, our first person to join us in that series will be next Friday at 3 p.m, and that'll be with Western actor Kieran Brown, who has performed in Phantom of the Opera, Wicked, Love Never Dies. So it's been very exciting to have him with us next Friday. So I'll put all the details for that on our Facebook page, obviously, as and when we get that announced. Okay, just a quick reminder, obviously we are recording this for YouTube, as I said in the email earlier. It looks like you've all got the message and you've all put yourselves off a video, so well done there. But obviously, if you've got any questions about any of that, pop me a message or an email, and we'll be sure to answer that for you. Please keep yourselves on mute, just because it makes it easier when we're talking, if there's no external sounds popping in and out. Okay. Okay, so as I've explained briefly there as well, we have got the chat function. Feel free to use the chat room to talk amongst yourselves during the Q&A. And if you've got any more questions that pop up for Reece during the initial period, pop them over to the Industry Insights chat room, and I'll try and fit them in at the very end of the session. We have got a lot of questions to get through, so it will be a little bit time dependent, but we'll see how we get on. Okay, so let's welcome in Reece then. Here we go. Let me just unmute him first of all.
Hello.
Here he is.
Hi.
Hi,
Are you okay?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you, darling. Yeah, good.
Amazing, amazing. So, how have you been doing in this tough time?
Do you know what? I've been fine. Like, so when this all kind of started, I was over in Germany, obviously doing Starlight.
Sure.
And
because you were in rehearsals, weren't you?
Yeah, so we were rehearsing. We had about 12 weeks planned. I think it was like 12 or 16 weeks that we were going to train. Obviously, we to learn how to skate and speak German. And we got past the first month, and I was injured for the last 2 weeks. But literally, the week I was going to go back, they were like, "Don't come into work." I was like, okay, what's going on?
Oh no.
Because we'd been so intense with rehearsals that we didn't really know what was going on. We went by our phones, so we didn't know like how serious this whole situation was. And so we got this email saying, don't come into work, wait for another email to come in. And so we were all texting each other, you know, in our room, like, what's going on? Like, you know, are we getting the sack? And then we get this email the next morning saying we have to shut down due to coronavirus. So then we all switch on the news and we're like, oh my God, it's this massive thing that we didn't know anything about. It was absolutely crazy. So then I stayed out. Everyone had gone home. Like a lot of people have gone, well, I'm just going to go home. And we were like, we can't go home. We don't know when we're going to start again. So some people went home. Some people went after a week. And I was like, I need to go home. I was like, I just want to go home. But I couldn't come home because my sister's a key worker. My mum's a key worker.
Oh, okay, sure. So they were shielding themselves as well.
Yeah, and I didn't want to have to come home and you know, put them in an awkward situation. But it just got to the point where I was so mentally like in my own head and drained that I was like, I have to come home. I remember ringing my mum and daddy in absolute tears. Like, I just want to come home. And where I was living, it was a studio apartment. So the bedroom, the living room, the kitchen were all in one room. So I literally, it was like I was in prison.
4 walls, basically, yeah.
Yeah, so I the day I flew home, I wrapped a t-shirt around my face. I had my like winter gloves on and was sweating it out in the summer heat.
Oh,
and,
no.
Got the train, got to the airport. It was the weirdest experience ever. Like, we got to the airport and there was like nobody there. And I thought, I'm going to get there a little bit earlier. Like, I love being early at airports just in case anything happens.
Yeah.
Or like if there's no earlier flight, they can be like, do you want to go? So I got there like 2 hours before, as you do. And it was like dead. I was like, oh my God. And I remember saying to the person at the desk, I was like, what's going on? Like, this is so weird. He was like, this is coronavirus. No one's flying. I was like, this is so weird. Sat at the gate. The gate wasn't even open, so I had to like sit in the middle of this airport just like on my own. And then then went through like the gate, but it was all like glass that you could see like into other gates, and they had like these makeshift beds, and they were obviously like people that were quarantining from flights, like staff. And
Sure.
this is like out of some horror film. I feel like I'm about to die. Like,
Oh
I feel
no!
like that happened to me. And then got on the plane, got back, and literally the weirdest thing was we pulled up to the gate, which was we pulled into Heathrow, the gate right by security, right by the exit. So in 2 minutes, I was off the plane, through security, and out of the door into the car on the way home. It was the
Oh my goodness! So where is it you're actually based now? Then where are you?
So I'm back in
UK?
Suffolk at the moment, with
Sure.
my mum and dad, and we're like, so we have my nieces. Obviously, we're allowed to expand our bubble and that now. So my nieces come round and we see my grandparents and stuff. So yeah.
So what have you been doing over the last few? When did you come back?
So, oh God, so I came back probably end of March. So I must have been back here in April. And yeah.
So what have you been up to in the last few months, and what have you been doing to keep yourself busy?
So the first like couple of weeks, I was like, I just don't want to do anything.
I think everyone felt like that.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like that time where you're like, when are we ever going to get this time to chill? Like, so I done Panto and then pretty much gone straight out to Germany. So I was like, I'm just gonna have a couple of weeks to do nothing. And then when I was in Germany, I kind of found a love for songwriting. So then I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm gonna start writing a musical. So I started writing a kids musical, and then that kind of got first draft kind of finished. And then I started writing a new musical about A&E and like the funny,
interesting choice, but okay.
Yeah, like just the funny, humorous, over dramatic things that would happen in a hippie. So.
Oh well, watch this space then with those.
I'm really excited for that one, and we've just secured a composer for that one as well. So
exciting, brilliant.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
And you've also been doing your podcast as well, haven't you?
Yeah, so I have a industry podcast which is called That's All We Need for Today, and I basically interview one performer a week about their funniest audition stories and funny stage stories that have gone wrong.
And I have to tell you, if you haven't listened to it yet, you must do, because it's on Spotify podcast. It's also on Apple Music podcast, I think, or Apple Podcasts, whatever it is.
Google as well, yeah.
Oh yeah, it is hilarious. And even if you aren't connected to the industry, you'll find the stories just I was rolling with tears down my face at some of them. It's a really brilliant one, and it's a weekly, isn't it? It comes out is it Thursday?
Every Wednesday. Every Wednesday at 10 AM it comes out. Yeah. So I've been doing that, and I've also I do drag as well, and me and my drag sister, my name's Gracie, I don't know what I'm talking about, Misty, we review Drag Race episodes whenever they release. So we watch them like super. I've been up this morning at like 8 o'clock watching Canada's Drag Race.
Oh, cool.
Today. So I was up at 8 watching that. Then I was getting ready, and we've already filmed, and it's being edited for release tomorrow. So
exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know Reece, put yourself in a little 3-minute box of where you came from, where you grew up, where you went to train, little condensed history for us.
So obviously my name is Reece.
Hi Reece, nice to meet you.
I feel like I'm like someone
like an awkward first date.
So my background is primarily in dance. It started off as a dance career. I started at the age of 3. I was a really, really naughty little kid. I'm still naughty now, nothing's ever changed. But I got sent to baby ballet classes for discipline. And ever since then, I just kept going back and back and back, and I absolutely loved it. I had the best time, and I love my dance teacher, and we still talk now.
Oh, that's nice.
And then it was kind of at the age of about 13, she was like, what do you want to do? Is this the job and career you want? And I said yes. And then my intensive dance training kind of doubled, and the pressure was put on. And then at the age of 16, I started Colchester Institute. So instead of A-levels, I went and did a BTEC National Diploma.
Right, yeah.
In musical theatre. And alongside starting that, I started singing lessons outside of college. And I also joined a musical theatre school, the Emma Dodd School of Performing Arts. And yeah, kind of like that was kind of like the pre-training before I then gained a space at Laine's. Went to Laine Theatre Arts for 3 years. And then, yeah, and then it all kind of, the adult life started. And
so you were at Laine's, was it 2012 you started? Is that right?
Oh, God. Yeah. Oh God,
around that time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time ago now. But yeah, I went in 2012
like a long time ago,
and I left in 2015. And I think it was our last week at college, I auditioned for Our House at the Union Theatre.
Yeah.
And I got offered that. So I went straight from finishing college into that. And then out of that, got offered a pantomime. And then at the same time, just before going to Panto, I auditioned for the Book of Mormon and then got offered the Book of Mormon. So yeah.
Exciting. And obviously since then you've done Shrek as well on tour, and you did the second Mamma Mia movie.
Yeah. So I've done I did Mormon for a year. Then I knew I had Shrek lined up when I left. I auditioned when I left Mormon for Shrek, so I knew I had that later down the line at the end of the year. And then Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again came along, and I auditioned for that. And yeah, that was a really weird
thing to be part of.
Yeah, it was a really weird experience. Yeah, so
how long were you like over there filming that? Because was it filmed in Greece or was it filmed over in the studios in the UK?
No, I was here in the UK.
Right.
Yeah, we filmed at Oxford University, which is absolutely stunning. And I was in the graduate scene, so the big long graduate rows and on the bikes riding through Oxford. Although I didn't ride a bike because at the time I had gone for a wig fitting previously and there wasn't enough wigs. They were ordering new wigs in. And then when I had to go back for a fitting, that's when the bike training was and like formation training and stuff. But literally,
you're a liability anyway. So
I'm so glad I didn't do it because the amount of stories that we heard, and when we watch people, like we were like, oh my God, like this.
Well, you're naturally clumsy anyway, aren't you? So
I'm terribly clumsy. So I could stand still on the spot and somehow find a way to fall over. Like that's the kind of person I am. I remember there's a really funny story from Amia, and I messaged her the other day because it went on Netflix on my birthday really randomly, and I was like, this is so weird. And I messaged my friend Laura, who I did Shrek with, who was our witch, and we filmed for Mamma Mia together. And she rode a bike, and there was this thing where everyone was measured on their bikes, like seat-wise. So the taller people obviously had taller seats, and the short people had short seats. And she said one day somebody ran to the wrong bike, and they were all lined up as they were biking out of the ground. And she said. She ran to this bike and she was like, I know that's not my bike. She's like, I just know it's not my bike. And it was one of the tall people bikes, and she's like 5'3". She's absolutely tiny.
Oh no.
She ran to this bike and she was like, I've just got to get on the bike. So she jumped on top of the bike and like started pedaling. And somebody had crashed into the wall at the front of the line, and she was at the back, but there was nobody telling people to stop or like get, like brake or anything. So there she goes, sailing out of Oxford University. Boom, 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 one after the other. And she just shoots off the seat into the handlebars, and she just said this single tear just ran down my face. I didn't even know what to do with myself.
Oh no.
It was like my whole like chest and my tummy and like everything down there. She was like, it was black and blue. I just launched into the handlebars.
Oh, classic.
So I was so glad I never rode
Right, Reece doesn't know I'm going to do this, but one of Reece's favourite games is This or That.
Oh no, don't do this to me.
So I'm going to quickly whip through 10 this or that's.
Oh God, I did this for my my birthday. I did a quiz for my birthday, and I made Amelia Lilly, who I did Panto and Shrek with. She interviewed me, and I was like, the fear. And I do this for my podcast with all of my guests. I was like, what do I do to those people?
I know. I thought it was about time to pay you back. Right, here we go then. So first one: Shrek or Book of Mormon?
Oh no. I loved Book of Mormon because it was my first gig, but I think I've got to say Shrek just because it was my dream role.
Footloose or Fame?
Ooh, controversial. I'm not a massive fan of either of them. I probably got to say Fame.
Okay. Bearing in mind what you've been in, Madness or ABBA?
Madness.
Dancing or singing?
Oh, that's such a hard one. Probably singing.
Okay. Contemporary pop singing or legit singing?
Oh, contemporary pop.
Texting or calling?
Text.
Sondheim or Lloyd Webber?
Oh, you cannot ask somebody that.
Oh, I just did.
It's got to be Sondheim.
Elaine Page or Patti LuPone?
I'm not this harsh when I do this or that on my podcast. Patti LuPone. Gypsy's one of my favourite musicals, and she's an amazing Mama Rose.
Little side note, my friend Paul Branch today put it on Facebook about this album that Elaine Page released in the early 80s called Stages.
Okay.
If you get the chance to listen to it, because it's really dodgy remixes of musical theatre songs. Like, it's hilariously bad. It's one of those amazingly, fantastically albums. Just because it's so bad, you've got to have a listen to it.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
Idina Menzel or Kerry Ellis?
Oh my god! Do you know what? I'm going to say Kerry, because I did a concert with her in November in Leeds that I hosted. I hosted a charity concert for West End and Friends, and she was so lovely. And she's a fellow Lainey, so it's got to be Kerry.
Absolutely. And finally, Freak Flag or Turn It Off?
Oh no! Freak. Okay, so here's the thing. Freak Flag has got such an amazing message to it, and it means so much to me. And because I literally am like the biggest freak, and always was at school, and I got bullied like hell. But Turn It Off, I have so many funny stories from Turn It Off. I think I've got to say Turn It Off.
Okay, interesting. I thought you'd go the other way, but yeah,
that's a really hard one.
Okay, I'm here. I've got my Hair the Musical mug of tea. Let's crack on with these questions. So I've tried to group them together in sort of sections that make sense. So because a lot of them are sort of along the same sort of theme. So we'll crack on. So what's your favourite production that you've been in?
Ooh. The thing is, I love everything that I've done. I love, but for completely different reasons. So, like, Our House, I loved because it wasn't a carbon copy paste of any production that's been done before. We created something from scratch, and I loved that the performers were so involved in the creative process with the creatives. So I loved Our House for that. Book of Mormon was my first West End gig, so I just hold that so close to my heart. And I remember being at college and Mormon came out, and everyone was like, this is so you. Like, all of my like besties were like, you have to do this at some point. I was like, oh, there's no way I'm ever going to get into that show. And then lo and behold, like 4 years later, I'm like, was in. It's crazy. And we just had a blast. I met the most amazing like friends that I still talk to now. Mamma Mia was a completely different experience. TV and film. I'd never done TV and film. It's a lot of sitting around. It's a lot of waiting. And yeah, I remember we were in the hall at Oxford filming the first bit, and we had sat there for about 5 hours, and I was like, I need a wee. But I couldn't get out because I was in the middle of the group the chair, and they just constantly go until they get the shot you want, and you're like, oh my god, I literally had to work myself.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Well, theatre is such an instant art, whereas film and TV, it can take weeks, months, years to produce the same length of a show. So it's a completely different medium, isn't it?
Yeah, oh my god, totally. And like, but I'm so thankful for it because it opened me to another insight within the industry. And that's kind of what I love doing, is I love to learn about every aspect of the industry, not just being a performer. And then obviously Shrek came along, and I was offered one of the Three Little Piggies, which was like a dream. And I was covering my all-time dream role, which was Lord Farquaad. And I had an absolute blast, and I got to go on. I went on for the first time in Milton Keynes on the day we were leaving. So we had a Sunday show. And then it was the Get Out. So it was kind of like a whirlwind thing of, you're on, you do the show, you go, you move. You go on. Yeah. So it's not like I could totally process it. But then I was so lucky to then go on in Dublin, which are the best audiences ever. So yeah, that was really special. And then obviously getting offered Starlight to learn new skills and a new language was something really special as well. So
yeah. And I mean, obviously you just mentioned Lord Farquaad, but what have you got any other dream roles that you're yet to play, or?
Oh god, do you know, there's so many. Like, I would love to. Matilda's always been a dream show of mine. I would love to do Matilda. Okay. One of my dream roles, I actually got offered, and I had to turn down. Really, like, I was gutted, but I got offered Misunderstanding on Norwegian Cruise Line in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which is one of my all-time favorite dream roles. but unfortunately I had to turn it down because I'd already accepted Starlight at the time.
No.
So, yeah, I was
for a
gutted. Yeah, but things come in circles and cycles, and
Yeah, of course.
So fingers crossed for that. And another dream role, I really want Spamalot to come back. I'd love to do Spamalot, and Monty Python's hilarious, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, there's quite a few, but Priscilla's like one of the dreams for me. So
it will happen. It will happen. It's one of those shows that's going to keep coming round and round and round, because it's embraced wherever it's played. It's just a beautiful show for so many different reasons. It's fun, but it's warming, and it'll keep coming back. It always will.
80s songs, which I love.
Absolutely. Who doesn't love an 80s bop?
Oh my God. I've got a really funny story about Starlight and my audition, but I'll have to tell you later. Remind me to tell you in a minute, and I'll tell you.
Okay. So we're kind of moving on to drama schools and things like that. So do you have any general advice for someone about to start drama school and about to enter the industry? So just sort of general advice for someone that's really at the very beginning of their career.
Just embrace it. Like, it's going to be the craziest journey you're probably ever going to go on. Like, and when I started, I was so nervous, and I think that really hindered my learning process, and it really, I don't want to say affected, because it didn't affect me, but it affected me in that I couldn't be myself.
Sure.
And I totally, when I was at college, I was one of like 100 in my year. So I totally lost sight of who I was, and I was trying to find myself, and I never truly found myself really until like a couple of years ago. Like, I'd done my first year, I'd done my second year, I'd done my third year. I left, did a show that I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I was like a graduate, rabbit in the headlights. Then I got offered Book of Mormon, which was like incredible. And I was just like, this is like the craziest dream ever. And it wasn't until really I got halfway through Shrek, and I was like, actually, I know who I am now. So it's trying not to lose sight of who you are, but it's also about finding yourself at the same time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think from a personal point of view, it's something that you probably don't ever stop doing, is learning about yourself and learning who you are, and especially within this industry, because you're always discovering new things about yourself as you're working as well. So it's something that's never really a closed book. It's, you'll find more things about yourself in 10 years' time that you didn't know now, even,
Yeah, and it's like, if somebody had told me at the start of my training journey, like 7 years ago, but at this point in my life, I'd be writing 2 musicals, I literally would have laughed you out the room and gone, I can't read, I can't write. Like, absolutely not. And now I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I've found something that I love, again, within an industry that I love. It's not just about performing, it's about creating. And that's what I love. And if college taught me anything, it was to be creative. So even though I went to my classes and I did that, I would go home like after college, or I would stay in like a random studio that I found, and I would just create something, whether it was dance, whether it was, a scenario, whether it was a piece of script or whatever. It's all about creativity for me. So it's keeping yourself creative and reminding yourself why you do what you do.
Yeah, and also while you're creating, remembering that it's okay to get things wrong occasionally.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's so many.
Everyone gets everything right first time.
Yeah, like there's so many ideas that I have got a third idea for another musical, for my drag persona, but it's been there for months, but I've just gone, I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you go down the exam, you're like, no. So now I'm just going to push it to the side and come back to it at some point.
Put it in a box, come back to it with a fresh brain.
It's just finding that way of,
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, sort of leading on from that, what's the one thing that you wish someone else had told you when you were auditioning for drama schools, and what, that advice that you wish that somebody had given you when you were auditioning, and what's something you wish you could tell your younger self?
Oh my God. I think at the time when I was auditioning, because I was so scared, and that's like a completely normal reaction. Like, it is a normal reaction to feel that, scared and nervousness. But when I look back, there were certain colleges I wish I had auditioned at, but I was like, I'm too scared that I'm never going to get in.
Right. Okay.
So I played it safe. And because I'm from a dance background, I applied to all dance colleges. Like, I didn't take into account that I could sing and I could act. I was just too nervous and too scared to go in and show people that, because I was like, I'm not going to be the best. I always wanted to be the best, and I still want to be the best. But I've lowered that expectation to, if I can be good and good at what I do, that's enough for me. So I'm not like 100%. I'm always like an 80.
Yeah.
And again, that's something that I've learned over the years.
Sure.
I don't have to be the best all the time.
Yeah.
I have to please myself. But oh my God, if I could tell my younger self something, it would just be chill out, like, and relax. Like, I'm such a stressful person and I panic. And when I panic, I get angry and like I say things to people that I regret instantly. And that's something that I've really worked on, is defining what I should say to somebody and what I should lock in a box and chuck away.
Sure.
And that's really something recently that I've learned, is know when to stand up for yourself and say what you're right for, and know when to shut up.
And know when to just take a step back, pause, think about it first.
Yeah. And my friends are amazing at that. Our friendship group is such a tight circle. Like we all, even though it's people from outside of the circle and what have you, we all talk to each other and we all connect in one way or another. But every person will be like, we'll all agree and we'll all be like, no, or yes. Do you know what I mean? Like, just chill.
Yeah.
Reply in 10 minutes to that text, or don't reply to that email, it's not worth it, sort of thing. So yeah,
okay.
It's chill and relax.
What are the best things to look for in a drama school, though? So you were saying that obviously you went for the dancey kind of schools because you thought yourself as a dancer. What would you say is for somebody to focus on, because there are so many schools out there now, especially, how would you say it's best to focus your efforts on finding the right school for you?
I think you have to look at yourself and say, where do I fit in? But you also have to look at yourself and say, what can I improve on to make myself better, and what college would offer me that? So like, because I was a dancer, I probably should have gone somewhere that was singing and acting based, because I wasn't as strong.
Yeah, so where do I fit in, but where can I also eventually fit in once I've trained?
Yeah, and once
I'm in the training process.
Yeah, where can I progress to become the best performer possible? So whereas I played to my strengths, I should have played to my weaknesses to make me better.
Yes, I mean, go back to what you said earlier as well then, a little bit. So obviously you went to Laine's.
Yes.
Heavy dance orientated school there. You said that you kind of wished now that you looked at other options. What other schools would you have looked at then, on reflection?
So I would have looked at Arts Ed.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that was a college that really scared me. Like, it really scared me. And I had friends audition there while I was auditioning, and the stories they were saying. And again, this comes down to not listening to me. Like, I should have listened to my own voice and at the time. But they were like saying horror stories about it. And I was like, it can't be that bad, surely. But in my head, I was like, no. I was like, I'm too scared. Like, I couldn't do it. But yeah, and I think I chose Laine's because Laine's at the time felt like the right choice. I'm very open about my training. I didn't have the best time at college, and I really didn't. And I think that's something that should be spoken about, that it's not all bells and whistles and it's not all unicorns and rainbows, but
it's not all fame.
It literally it's not. But how can I phrase this? If I didn't go to Laine's, do I think I would be where I am today? I do think I would be where I am today, had I have gone elsewhere. But it's a tricky one. Because at the time, Laine's felt so right to me.
Sure.
But then a little bit down the line, I was like, I think I've made the wrong choice. And
one thing I'd maybe add to that as well, from my experience, is certainly choose a couple of drama schools that you think might be right for you, and have a look at their alumni. Have a look at the people that have been there already. Get in contact with them. I know full well that if you message pretty much any performer on Twitter or Facebook, whatever their social media is, and say, look, I'm really looking to going to this college. I've seen you've been there. tell me about your experiences, Ed. Do you think it'll be right for me? I can almost guarantee that they'll happily reach out to you and give you some advice, you know. But you want to take some of it with a pinch of salt, because obviously some of it's personal experience as well. But
yeah,
I think that's one of the best ways to reach out to ex-students.
Yeah, and I always say to, I mean, I teach kids up and down the UK and what have you, and I always say to them, it's a personal journey. So you may be told one thing by one person. Like I said this, I had a Q&A with a college up in Scotland last week. And I said, I'm very open about my journey. My journey wasn't the best. But you could ask somebody else that was in my year at college would have had the best journey. So it's such a personal experience that you can take in all the information, you can absorb it like a sponge, but you can't take it to heart, and you can't take it too personally, because you have to experience that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it literally it's one of the biggest decisions ever. It's deciding where to go. Obviously my decision was based on funding. I couldn't go unless I had a scholarship.
Right.
So that's partly why I went to Laine's. It was one of the only places that offered me a fully funded place. So yeah, but it is, I agree, it's a personal journey that you have to witness and you have to go on yourself.
Absolutely. And when you are auditioning, I mean, can you recommend any sources of audition material for drama schools? Like, what would you say are the things to look for when you're choosing your audition material, for example? How did you approach your audition material?
Oh my God, it was such a long time ago. It makes me feel really old. I mean, this coincides even with auditioning for shows. It's finding material that you feel comfortable with. It's finding material that suits you and your personality and you as a person. I would never go into an audition and do something that I didn't feel comfortable with. So I think I can't even think what I sung for college. I think I want to say it was like Last One Picked from Whoop-De-Doo the musical or something. Right. I definitely did a character song, because that's who I am. Like, I am a character performer who bounces off the walls 24/7. Like, so yeah, it's finding material that, one, you can relate to, two, suits you as a person and shows off your personality. I think that's really important when you're auditioning, is you have to go in and show your true personality. Don't go in and be somebody you're not. Don't go in and be fake. Like, go in and show you. I think a lot of people lose sight of that. And the thing is, you lose sight of that even when you're in the industry as well. Like, we've all done it. We've all lost sight of who we are. But you quick enough come back down to earth, and you go, actually, that's not me. This is the true me, sort of thing. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, for those people that don't know, I'm also a producer and a director myself. And I think as soon as you see someone new that you've never seen audition for you before come into an audition room, you want to see that person as well, because don't forget, you're going to be working with that person for the next few months or year or whatever the contract length will be. You want to warm to the person as well as their talent. So there's no point you coming into an audition room and being a completely fake person and a fake character, because it could come across completely in the wrong way. So play to your strengths completely. Yeah. And don't try and do too much out of the box if it's not you, because it's not going to get you anywhere, because you're not going to do it well. Yeah,
I think as well, like, we at college were always told about the power of 6. So we had the power of 6 songs. And it spans over a wide variety. So I always have like a legit, a contemporary MT, a character, a Disney. So I can go to my rep, and like pop and stuff like that. And I can go to my rep, and I will hands down say this, I think I've sung the same song in every audition that I've done and booked the job. But it's because I feel so comfortable with that song. Like, it's World's Greatest Hour from Elf the musical. And anybody that knows me knows that Buddy's probably one of my dream roles. But I feel so comfortable and secure going in and singing that song that I can be the character, but I can also show me as well. Do you know what I mean? With it.
No, it's important.
Yeah, and it is scary. I remember going in for one audition and singing a new song that I'd learned, and I forgot all the words. I just started making them up. And the casting director was like, great, cool. And the director was like, I was like, yeah, I messed up. It's a completely new song. I haven't sung it before. But the fact that I can turn around and be comfortable enough to stand there and go, new song, trying it out, seeing what happens. Do you know what I mean? So, and we all had a laugh about it at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's what a director wants to see from you, because they know that they can communicate with you and that you can communicate with them as well. So,
yeah, and it shows that you're not scared to mess up.
If it comes down to the and you've got 3 people that are amazing and you can't pick one between 3, you're going to go for the one that you like as a person connected within that room. So I think that's a really important tip for an audition room, and for industry and drama schools. Make sure that you're warm as a person, because it can give you miles of advantage.
I remember going in for Starlight, and Arlene Phillips was in there, and it was the finals, and it was like a workshop sort of situation, and she was like, "Why are you nervous?" And I literally hadn't even sung. I hadn't sung anything, and she was just like, "What? You just seem really nervous." And I was like, "Because I'm absolutely petrified." And they made me sing Starlight Sequence like 5 times, and I was like, "I can't sing it anymore. It's too high." Like it was like the belt, like I was belting out. And she said to me, and I love this story. It's probably one of my favourite audition stories. And she went, "So what pop music do you listen to?" And I was like, none. She was like, I'm talking to you now, like this is how I came across. And she was like, what song do you listen to on a night out? Like, what's your favourite song? And I was like, well, it's got to be I Wanna Dance with Somebody, Whitney Houston. Gotta love it. As soon as it comes on, boom, I go home to bed. She was like, all right, then off to the piano. I was like, to the piano, you're going to sing it. I was like, oh, no, I'm not drunk enough for this. Please don't make me do this. And then the pianist starts playing, and then I just start singing. And it was just like, and she was like, and you relax, like, how we've seen you just talk to us then and sing then, like you totally relaxed. So it's just all about going in and just relaxing and being yourself. And
that's also a good sign of a good director, choreographer, casting team, really, if they can think of tricks and tips like that to keep you feeling confident as well. They're going to get so much more out of you in the room.
Yeah, absolutely. So. I totally agree with that, yeah.
So you mentioned briefly about the Power of 6, obviously, but what other advice, or could you maybe just give us a bit more information about how to build a good repertoire?
Oh God, I'm literally the worst person. I need to even update my rep now. I've been updating. I think the best thing to do is you have to cover all areas. So even though I categorize myself as a character actor, obviously looking at my CV, Shrek, Mormon, Mamma Mia, Starlight, I'm a train. It's you have to have every area. So I've been in for auditions like Half a Sixpence and 42nd Street, which are I could hands down do, but it's not necessarily up my street. So I would have like a legit ballad and a legit up tempo. I would have a contemporary musical theatre ballad and a contemporary up tempo. Cover all aspects, have a Disney, have a character, a pop ballad and a pop up tempo. I use obviously my character song a lot, and I also use my pop up tempo quite a lot. I've used a pop ballad once in a while. I used it for Starlight. It's probably the only time I've used it. And I think Rip It Up 70s came about, and I had to sing. That's when I sung the new song that I was learning, a Meatloaf song. So it's just covering all areas, but I would say legit contemporary, character, Disney, pop, Power of 6.
So what are the 6 songs in your folder then at the moment?
I literally haven't even looked at my folder. I don't know. I have Really Light My Fire as my up-tempo pop.
Okay.
I take that because it also covers, because it's been like redone and done by so many people, it covers so many eras, which is ideally what you want. One song that you can just go to and go, yeah, that era. My pop ballads are Angels by Robbie Williams, cringe. That's what I sung. That got me Starlight. So that's but I'm also, I've had it in my rep for a while. I just haven't learned it properly. Is All Coming Back to Me Now, Meatloaf, which is nice. Very much an amazing song. My legit ballad is You Are Beautiful from the Flower Drum song, which I absolutely love. It's a gorgeous song. And I call it legit, but I don't know if you can actually class it as legit. It's probably more golden age of musical theatre. All I Need Is the Girl from Gypsy. My character is World's Greatest Dad from Elf. And do you know what? I actually don't have a Disney song at the moment. I
Well,
think
that's not good.
I know. I think if I was to go for one, I would probably go for like her voice from The Little Mermaid or something. Or
Gorgeous, yeah.
Yeah. So my rep needs updating. Do not judge. Do not hate. So yeah.
Okay, so quite a specific question here. So, I've got one of our people that are in the room now. They're about to go into their third year of MT training, and they want to go into performing. They were recently diagnosed with a heart condition, so they now think of going to teaching as an alternative route. Do you have any advice or help for how to get into teaching?
Oh my God, I absolutely love teaching. Like, this is like the perfect question for me. I freelance teach up and down. So I teach for professional colleges, dance schools, cover teaching, workshops. I do it all, and I absolutely love it. It's such a great way to give back to the young performing generation that want to do this. And it just fills my heart with so much love, like seeing so much passion and drive from young performers. It depends what kind of route you want to go down teaching. Do you want to teach a dance syllabus? Do you just want to teach a freelance class of like, free jazz work or free tap work? Do you want to teach in university? Do you want to teach? There's so many. Teaching is just an umbrella. There's so many areas to go down teaching. I would suggest if you want to teach a syllabus, I would go and do somewhere that has like I did ISTD dance syllabus when I was younger.
That's quite a common one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, there's ISTD, RAD, Shiketti. Oh God, there's loads. But if that's specifically what you focus on, I can't give advice because I don't have those teaching qualifications. But I know that if you do like ISTD, you need a DDE, I think, and a DDI or something. But you have to have a qualification in that. But ISTD have a massive headquarters in London. They do courses. They, probably can help you with that. University, you need a degree to be able to teach. I looked into teaching at university, and I was lucky enough to be able to teach at New Bucks Uni in High Wycombe on the dance course. But I went in as an associate lecturer, so I didn't have to have any qualifications like a degree. My experience was enough to get me in the door.
Sure.
But in the future, I am considering topping up to a degree, so I could potentially go down that teaching at a uni route sort of thing. So you would need a degree for that. So there's so many umbrellas, there's so many avenues, but I would maybe look at ISTD website, messaging them about syllabus-based work or getting a degree and going down the uni route. I know that when you do 3 years at college on a diploma, because Laine's is only a diploma, it's not a degree.
Right.
Some colleges are degrees. So like if Arts Ed, I think, is a degree, Erdang is definitely a degree. So once you finish like your 3 years at Erdang, you could go and teach at university. But because I was on a diploma, I can do a year's top-up course. It costs quite a lot of money, but you can then top up for a year instead of having to go and do another 3 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's so many routes, there's so many avenues. I think I'm happy to talk to anybody about it. If you want to drop me a message, I can, help you out further. It's quite a wide thing to talk about in such a small space of time.
Yeah, sure.
But okay.
I'm
happy to help out where I can.
And going on to the auditions again, can you describe, the question is, what's the full audition process like? So perhaps give us an example of what your audition route was like for Shrek. How many rounds were there? What was it like? How was it broken down? Or
this is probably the only show that I've auditioned for that I've done a full audition process.
Good, well, that's one for me to pick then.
Yeah. So our house was 1 day of auditions because it's a fringe musical. They try and keep it really short, really sweet. Mormon, I went in for the first rounds in September, got cut straight away, and then went back in November, beginning of November, and did like 1 day's worth. So I never did a full process. Mamma Mia was a day process, and Starlight, again, I got called in for the finals. So I was never in the full process. But for Shrek, I had a really funny experience for Shrek. The first initial round was a singing round. So we went in, it was at the Union Theatre, the new Union on the opposite side. I knew it was the old side, and it's now swapped to the side of the road. Gorgeous. I went there a few months back. And we went up and we had a singing audition. And the lovely runner, Kate, who I had worked with on Mormon backstage, she said to me, she said, Reece, I know you're clumsy. Watch the step. It was about like an inch big. Watch the step as you go into the room. Don't trip over. I was like, great, cool. Yeah, absolutely fine. I then see my friend behind me and I was like having a massive gas and massive gas. She was like, you can go in. Lo and behold, I tripped and fell into the audition room. And then I just got up and was like, I'm fine. And then Nigel Harman just burst out laughing. And David Grindrod's in there absolutely wetting himself. And so I sung. So our first round was singing. So you were literally in there like 5 minutes and then you go home. Super short, super sweet. And you take 2 contrasting songs in the style of the show. You then wait for a
So do you give them the option to choose which song they want to hear, or how does that work?
So I always take in 2 people. I never take in my rep because I don't want to get caught out. Yeah. It's always been a fear of mine going in and them going, let's have a look through your folder. That's also because my old musical theatre teacher from home absolutely freaked me out with the story. She went in to audition for Andrew Lloyd Webber and he was there on the piano. I think it was Evita she went in for. And she took in, like, back in the day, she took in like a bumper anthology book.
Oh, no.
Like, let's flick through and have a see what you can sing. And ever since then it's freaked me out and I would never ever go in.
Tip, only ever take 2 songs.
Take your sheet music, your printed sheet music. So I take 2 songs and I say I've got this and I've got this, and then I give them the option to pick, unless they turn around and they're like, what would you like to sing, which has happened before, and I always go with character just to show you. And then after that, you wait for a phone call if you actually ever get one, for the next instructions, i.e. You've been called back. Sometimes after the first round, you don't normally hear, so you kind of just go, done and dusted, moving on. I
have to say, actually, now a lot of casting directors are doing a yes or no thing, aren't they? Because it was quite a strong thing last year or the year before where a lot of actors were asking for just a simple yes or no, so at least we're not waiting around if we aren't being carried through. So I think a lot of casting directors are now taking that on board, and certainly Jane Deitch, who we work with a lot on our shows, is very much for that. So
yeah,
so I think you should be able to hear it, yes or no.
Yeah, it's that mental state as well. It's you're constantly worrying about it. You just want that peace of mind where you can actually go, okay, it's done.
Yeah, you can move on.
Yeah. So then I got a phone call to go back to dance like 2 days later, I think, or no, the following week or something. I think I auditioned at the end of the week, so about the next week. And then we had to do a jazz round. So we learned a section of Duloc, What's Up Duloc, and we learned the tap routine, Morning Person. But it was like really short, really sweet. And they were like 2 of the shortest versions of routines I've ever done in an audition.
Is that the tapping mice or rats, is it?
Yeah, the tap dancing rats.
Yeah.
Some auditions you go in and they're like, just keep going and going and going, and you're like, ooh! And there's some auditions that you're like, oh, is that it? Like, it's so quick. So we went in, we learnt Duloc, and we learnt the rat tap. And then we just waited for a phone call. I then got a phone call to go back and do material. And I got given so much material. I remember just get given everything. I was given Pinocchio, Lord Farquaad, Three Little Pigs. I had to learn, for Farquaad, 2 scenes and 2 songs. Pinocchio, I had to learn Freak Flag and I had to learn a scene. For the pigs, I had to learn a scene and then learn like a little harmony thing that they do just to see how high you can go. Went in, did all of that. The following weeks, I think we're on week 3 now, did all of that. And I remember somebody had told me that Farquaad was American, but Shrek's a weird one because when it was in America, it was pretty much all American.
Sure.
It came over to London and they played with a lot of accents and like native, dialects and accents. So somebody was like, it's in American. And I was like, I don't think it is. So I text my friend Kev, who had done the tour previously, and he was like, actually, I'm not sure. So I learned it all in American because I was like, that's what I'd been told to do. Went in and Nigel stopped me and was like, why are you doing it in American? I was like, somebody told me to do this in American, but I'm convinced it's British. He was like, yeah, it's RP. I was like, fab, absolutely fine. I can do that. He was like, do you need like a couple of minutes? I said, no, it'll be fine. We'll wing it, see what happens. And so did all of the script, did all of the songs, did the pig stuff, did Pinocchio. Got halfway through the song in Pinocchio and I was like, nah, this ain't for me. I'm really sorry. And then I get stopped and they're like, can you read Captain of the Guards? And I was like, with all that was going around in my head, I was like, yeah. So I'd gone out to learn it, come back in and read it, and I was like, nah, I'm not feeling this. I'm feeling Farquaad and I'm feeling the pig, but I'm not really feeling, anything else. So then went out, left, got a phone call to go back, and I'm trying to think, it was the finals, so then we must be on week 4, so it was only a 4-week process for Shrek. And then the finals were over 2 days, so the dance calls were, I think, on the Thursday, and then the materials were on the Friday. And I remember going in on the Thursday, and I was there with majority of people that got offered the job. There was two sets. There was a morning set and an afternoon set. I was the morning set, and I was there with somebody I'd done a workshop with when I was a kid. Like, I was like a young kid, and I went up to her and I was like, Jen, and she was like, oh my god, why do I recognise you? I was like, I did a wicked workshop with you. I'm one of Emma Dodd's students, and they're good friends. So then we kind of like, oh my god, like we were reminiscing and that, and then we got paired together to dance.
Oh, how weird.
We were howling. Well, we were howling. It was so funny. Went in, and then I remember Adam Baker, who was one of my piggies. He was one of my piggies, and he's like this big Welsh rugby lad. And we were doing Duloc, and it's all very army and up like this. And he just couldn't do it, bless him. And I will never forget the associate turned around and was like, yeah, this just doesn't suit your body, does it? And we were all like, oh. And we used to laugh and joke about it when we were in the show. Like, and he never did Duloc anyway, because he was a booth singer for us. So yeah, did the dance round, which was really scary. There's like 60 people in one room, and you literally go in, you have a recap, and then you do it, in threes. I think we did it in, so they can see who's dancing and what have you. And then I got a phone call that literally as I'd left, I got a phone call saying, you're back in tomorrow at this time to do material. And at this point I was like, oh, I feel like this is really going my way now. Sure. You recalled right until the very end. Went back in, did all the material, all the extra material I needed to do, and they were like, great, yeah, cool, we'll be in touch. That's all we need for today. Then I think 2-3 weeks later, I got a phone call being offered the job. So it was a nice surprise.
Brilliant.
Really nice.
So I think going from what you've just said as well, it can be quite a different process depending on where the show is. As you said, the Fringe is very, very different. It's usually maybe one call, maybe a recall, perhaps. But also, if you've worked with a director or a casting director before, they know pretty much what you're capable of doing. So they sometimes just get you in for a final, or maybe 2 rounds rather than the full process. And the weird thing, quite a different process each show.
Yeah, it's so different. And the weird thing about Starlight was they had a set of auditions previously, and Starlight are known for doing like loads of sets of auditions.
Yeah.
So they'd had a set. I was the second set to go in, but it's cast by Debbie O'Brien, and I was doing some run-ins for her auditions. So like calling children's for what it was the once auditions, calling kids into the room, and keeping everybody in check and
yeah.
And then I was auditioning for Starlight like the next day. So she was like, oh, we'll see you at Starlight tomorrow. I was like, yes.
But again, that shows you what a vivid industry it is. You can be running for one day as an assistant, and the next day you can be auditioning for the person you've just been running for. So it just shows you, doesn't it? And just going on to the auditions again, just like a final question on that. Are there sometimes, with the dance side of things, different calls depending on your ability or how difficult some parts of the dance might be? So is it sometimes like a pro line and a less pro line if you're not so experienced at the back of the room, or how does that work?
So I'm a back of the room kind of guy, but I like putting myself at the back in the corner or at the front in the corner, just so I've got like my own little bubble. When you're stuck in the middle of people like trying to dance, there's like limbs flying everywhere, and you're literally like, ooh, like trying to dodge. But yes, so you get two types. So you get dance auditions and actor mover auditions. So if you're depending on, it's becoming more of a common thing now to have an actor mover round. So if you're not as confident of a dancer, you can flag it up and say, look, I'm not an amazing dancer, is there an actor move around? I remember going in for Evita at Regent's Park, and we were also mixed. There was complete mixed abilities, but the choreographer was amazing because he said, if you can dance, down that end, if you're an actor mover, down that end. So the room was instantly split.
Good.
And the choreography was tailored to the point of, it was the same choreography but with a harder version and an easier version.
Yeah, sure.
So it was really nice to witness that, and I really, really champion that, because I think there's so many amazing people out there, just necessarily aren't as strong as dancers, but they're amazing singer-actors.
Yeah, and I suppose it would all depend a little bit depending on the show as well. For example, I would imagine you get that sort of thing with 42nd Street or Cats, which are both very dancey shows. You have to be a dancer, don't you? So I can't imagine you get many actor music rounds for those. But, you know, it's yeah, for certain.
42nd Street, I remember going in for that. Oh, we had to tap on our own. You had to tap one at a time. And I remember, I think about 3 or 4 boys were like, no, just walked out. They were like, I'm not tapping on my own.
Sure.
And a tap is such a speciality. Like,
it
it's
really
such
is.
a specialty.
Especially at that level.
Yeah, and you can either do it and you can't do it. That's the difference with tap. Whereas you can fake it till you make it with ballet. Like, I faked it and made it. And jazz, you can fake it. But tap, you just know if somebody's good or not.
You get it right or you get it wrong.
Yeah, and it was the most exposing thing I've ever done in my life. But am I totally grateful for it? Absolutely. Because you just get so much. And it's feedback as well. When you're in a group audition, sometimes the feedback is really vague. But sometimes when you're, tapping like that, we had the associate from America came over and auditioned us. And we were just getting like one-on-one. Like, it was amazing. So,
yeah,
don't panic.
Great.
2 strands of dance auditions.
We'll wrap up shortly because we're getting close to time now because Reece can't stop talking. If you have got any more questions you want to quickly ask, please pop them over to me in chat. But I've got 2 more here first of all. This, I think, will depend slightly on the production, but how many hours of rehearsals do you tend to do in the industry? So, I don't know, perhaps each day or through the week? How does the structure of a rehearsal week usually work?
So again, it totally varies on the production you're doing. So Mormon, we had 4 weeks, but that's because the show was up and running. We had 2 weeks in the studio, and then we spent 2 weeks on the stage. When there was a matinee, we used to head over to Pineapple at the top floor studio that takes forever.
Yeah, I've been there.
And we just run the show in there. So we learnt the show in 2 weeks for Mormon, and then we're on the stage teching and stuff. So when we opened, we were like drilled. Do you know what I mean? We knew exactly what we were doing. Shrek, we had 4 weeks. So we had 3 weeks in the studio, and then 1 week teching. But we were teching in Edinburgh, so we had to trek all the way up to Edinburgh. Yeah. And then our house was a weird one because it was fringe. We did 2 weeks. We then had 2 weeks off, and then we had a week, and then we teched in the theatre for a week. So,
okay.
Again, it was really weird of a schedule. I can't really remember that far back. I can't really remember our rehearsal process for that, other than we were in Mile End when we rehearsed in a church.
I was at St. Barnabas.
Oh, it might have been. I think it's a really nice church.
It's a beautiful rehearsal space.
Yeah, from what I can remember.
Must have been rehearsed Maine there.
Oh, yeah. So it must be then. But I know that some productions, so like Joseph, when it goes out on tour, have a week of rehearsals.
Yeah.
So it completely varies on the show and, what production company it is, if the production's already been out before.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, if it's a brand new musical and things like that, you're going to be reworking things within the first week or so of rehearsals. So it's not a set book yet, perhaps, or even if it's a production that's been out a couple of years before and it's being reworked. It's like, I'm sure when Shrek we went out on tour the second leg of the first time, they probably had to rework little things here and there as well because of changes that have come in since Town, for example, or and so it's a slightly different process.
Yeah, and the thing is, I remember talking to the lighting designer, Hugh, and because again, fascinated by all different areas of theatre, and he basically said you just plug in a memory stick and it's all on the memory stick and you just press go. So it's just a case of reprogramming in what theatre venue you get to, and obviously we'd cut down a lot of stuff from the previous tour. It had been cut down again, so. Yeah, it just depends on the production.
Yeah. And so what sort of working hours usually do you do?
Oh, my God. So rehearsals are normally 10 till 6. And that's every day. I know that when we used to get to a Saturday in Shrek and we were just so knackered because it's such a physical show that we learned Duloc, and it took us 3 days to learn the whole thing. It's like a 6-minute number, but it's so, everyone has to be so regimented, and it's like the Rockettes, you're drilled.
Yeah.
And it got to, we'd learned the first half on, it must have been Thursday. Friday, we learnt the second half, and then we came in to finish off what we hadn't learnt, which was like the reprise. And we were meant to be doing 10 till 6, and it just got to like lunchtime, and we were like, pub. And then we'd learned everything, so we just got to the point where we're like, let's just plough through for another couple of hours, just
the
get it
block
done, and then head to the pub for some food, and, you know, a little gas. But
so I think the normal is sort of 10 till 6 Monday to Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, and then when you tech, I mean, the hours just kind of go out the window. It normally ends up being like
painful.
Days. Yeah.
We'll stay away from tech for the moment. And the final question I've got here is, how do you keep motivated 24/7 when the industry is so draining? I think, especially at the moment, it's such an uncertain future for the industry as well. How do you keep motivated, both when you are working, but also at the moment when you're not, and it's so up in the air? How do you keep going through that?
So I think it comes back down to that training thing of, you have to know who you are as a person, and you have to constantly be creative. So, and whether that's in theatre or whether that's not in theatre, like I found a new love for writing at the moment. So to keep me busy at the moment, I'm writing. So in my spare time, I'm, you know, writing lyrics, I'm writing script, I'm writing, you know, I'm constantly creating. And when you're on tour, it's a little bit easier. So like Shrek was the first time I'd ever toured the UK. So when we got to a venue, it was nice because I could go and explore, and I could go and see things. But there was other people who had toured to that venue so many times that they were like, you know, we're going to do our own thing. So I think the nice thing about our job is creativity. So it's nice to just be able to sit and create and sit in a coffee shop and people watch. And, you know, that's how I use my time is creatively, or I'll go out and have a walk and I'll go and do other things. But I also, what I've noticed recently as well is I spend far too much time on social media, and I've really tried to cut back on that. And if I hadn't have cut back on that, there's no way that I would have been able to have written as much as I have. So yeah, I think staying positive is quite a personal journey. It's so down to you, but you have to surround yourself with an amazing group of friends. You have to surround yourself with things that you love and things that you're so passionate about. So my friend Kev, who I do the drag race reviews with, he loves his drag. So he'll drag up and he'll do a face and he'll perfect a bit of makeup, or he'll style a wig, or do you know what I mean? He does that. And then there's other people I know, like my friend Tilda, who I trained with at Colchester, who's now not a performer, but she's a freelance journalist. So she sits down and she writes stuff, and she's a photographer, so she takes pictures. And yeah, so it's just finding things either within the industry or outside of the industry that you love and that you're passionate about, and just running with them and keeping creative. Yeah,
a friend of mine, a performer, said that one of the most important things that they found that they had to do really is to find something that is completely separate from the industry.
Yeah.
So because it's a very involved atmosphere working in the industry, it's 24/7 whether you're on stage or off, and you can become so enveloped in it if you're not careful, which is a great thing obviously, but it can also be quite a dangerous side of it. And having one thing you can always go to, reading a book or, you know, painting or something else, just so you can literally shut off from the industry and even just an hour or so a day, I think is a really healthy thing to do.
Yeah, 100%. And it's really hard, and it's something I really, really struggle with, because I'm so passionate about what I do. And when I look back at my childhood, I was in dance classes 7 days a week. Like I'd go to school, I'd go to dance, and I'd go to school, I'd go to dance, and there was never a day where I didn't dance. So it's really nice now in adult life to find new things and, you know, new passions and creativity. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up there, but thank you very much.
No, thank you.
We're going with the sound there. How do we find you on social media and things? What are your handles?
So I used Instagram, which is Reece Kerridge Official, and I use Twitter, which is Reece Kerridge #1. Podcast is that's all we need. Number one on every social media platform, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. And our drag race reviews are on Misty's channel. If you're interested in drag, I don't know if anybody is, but we review Drag Race whenever the episodes come out. And she's Misty Van Cartier on YouTube, and that's where you can find her on there.
Great stuff. Okay, well, obviously this is our first one. If anybody's got any feedback for us, please send us a message. Anything we could do better, or do anything differently, or any suggestions of what you'd like to see in the future. We will be putting this up on YouTube, so if there's anything you want to refer back to at a later stage, that will be on our YouTube page. We'll put a link to that on our Facebook page as well. And there was the other thing I wanted to say, but I can't remember what it is now.
Yep.
Oh yeah, if you've got any further questions, obviously just drop us a message on our Facebook page as well. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, and have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Lots of love. Bye.